Hey, everybody, and welcome to Turbocharge Tomorrow, our series of conversations with founders, builders, and leaders shaping what's next in technology. Our guest today is Val Avdeenko. He's the president and co-founder of Happyverse. Thanks for joining us, Val.
Thanks for having me, Ethan.
This is going to be great. So Happyverse is one of Distillery's clients who are building AI-powered avatars or confidants that they can sound and look just like you in real time, and designed to help professionals scale themselves, build trust, and connect in entirely new ways. And we even got one of our own developers embedded on their team, helping build out the new wave of AI-powered avatars. Super excited to have you here, Val, and excited not just to hear about Happyverse, but also some of the lessons that you can share with any tech leader who's working in this world today. To get started, I'd love to kind of start from the beginning and hear a little bit more about how did you get involved in AI avatars and what drew you to this project specifically?
Yeah, for sure. So for the past 5 years, I was leading one of the edge products at AWS, one of the edge directions. And it was exciting because we were enabling a lot of these real-time applications, real-time state-of-the-art AI applications. And so then when my co-founder Max called me and said, we're working on this super real-time application where every millisecond matters. Every millisecond is the difference between a churned user or a successful experience. I thought it would be a really exciting challenge. And then secondly, it was super interesting from the product perspective as well, because the live avatars, there are so many different potential use cases. But today and 10 years from now. And so from the product perspective, it was a question of let's find a place where people need this the most. People need this right now. And between the two of them, it seemed like a very exciting challenge.
That's awesome. And I think the challenge is what drew you. I think that's something that is a common thread from tech leaders who are actually making a difference. At the TED AI conference a few weeks ago, there was one of the takeaways that mentioned do something that if you weren't doing it, no one else would do. Like there's so many things out there right now, you can do almost anything, but focus on something where if you don't do it, it's not really going to happen. And to what you're talking about with edge and real time, like avatar AI is hard. Real time is super hard. So tell me more about, what it's like trying to build for a real time responsive avatar.
Yeah. And it's interesting because people have had avatar experiences, a lot of very high quality static avatars. So they have an expectation of what an avatar can do, how good an avatar can be. And I think a lot of people expect that, look, everything from the static experience should transfer really easily in real time. It's the same avatar after all. But we're talking about a very different process behind the scenes, where every millisecond you're kind of rushing to push it out, making sure that you have the best possible product, the best possible quality out there within milliseconds. And it's a very different process. With static video, you can have seconds, minutes, hours, however long is necessary, depending on your use case. With real time, it's always just a grind and a hustle as you want to make sure that you have the avatar out there. It is out there having conversations, answering questions. Otherwise, it's no longer real time.
That's crazy. So I'm curious, the non-deterministic nature also makes it more challenging, right? So it's not like a static avatar that would like a decision tree where, oh, you say this answer will take you down this way. Is it more challenging to have a non-deterministic real time, or is it easier? Is it like ironically easier to have it be non-deterministic because then you can go anywhere?
It's a bit of both. So number one, I think it's easier in the fact that it's a little magical. It's exciting. The first time you talk to an avatar of anybody is exciting. The first time you talk to your own avatar, that's even more surreal, kind of split between a wow moment and like this is technology out of control moment. You don't know what to think. So it's great in that regard. In the regards of guardrails and people being concerned about hallucinations, I do think it creates a lot of problems. So we do need to prove that our product is reliable, that our product is trustworthy, that people can trust it to represent themselves, to represent their business, and that's an interesting and a difficult challenge that we have been tackling. How do we establish that trust? How do we make sure that people understand that even in this non-deterministic environment, avatars can still be trustworthy, avatars can still be reliable.
Yeah, and you guys at Happyverse have had some success getting some known entities, known people to be confidants and AI avatars. So I saw on the website you guys have Reid Hoffman. You have a Reid Hoffman version of it. Can you tell me about that? Like, how did you get him? How is he involved? How did you get him to be? I guess how did you get him to be a confidant? And then was that a hard ask for him?
Yeah, of course. So Reid is an LP in one of our lead investors, Village Global. So we reached out to this team. He has always been at the forefront of avatars, always experimenting with different avatar mediums and different ways to use avatars. And considering that his team was already talking to Village, it was a way to do a conversation and understand what is possible, what we can do, and then go from there.
That's awesome. And you guys are making the brave decision to go live, like a live demo of it. I see he's going to be, Reid Hoffman's confidant will be at the AGI summit that you guys are putting together. I guess first, can you tell us more about the summit, and then maybe talk to us about, Reid's participation, the Reid confidant at the AGI summit?
Yeah, for sure. So Reid's participation, we don't want to disclose too much. The confidant will be there, but we aren't showing all of our cards just yet. And in terms of the summit, it's a question. The full name is the AGI Interface Summit, and AGI already in and of itself, it brings a whole bunch of emotions in different people. Some people are super excited about AGI, about having this global intelligence. Other people are worried. Other people are scared. Other people see a huge profit motive. So everybody are thinking of it in different ways, and I think that also reflects in a bunch of ways on interfaces, and how do people think that we as humans, if we're still alive in the age of AGI, will interact with AGI. So whether it's avatars, whether it's brain computer interfaces, whether it's robotics, whether it's voice applications, whether it's chatbots. So there is a whole set of different views in that. So we're trying to combine both this discussion of the interfaces, how our humans are going to interact with AGI, number one, and two, we're also trying to combine the discussion of, in general, how does AGI factor into human well-being? We are Happyverse after all, so happiness has been always at the very forefront of our mission. So for us, it's an important discussion. How will AGI enhance happiness, or is it going to get everybody to lose a job, and is it going to be a negative factor? So we're open to all viewpoints, and we're going to have a lot of these interesting discussions, debates, panels during on November the 15th.
That's exciting, and I think that's in San Francisco. So for folks who might be viewing in San Francisco, Saturday, November 15th, it's time for you. Be a great thing for you to see. I guess following that track, curious to hear your thoughts about, from the Happyverse perspective, what could that look like? Like, tell me, I mean, you guys come in, is in the name of the company, the Happyverse. So it's definitely coming from the optimistic side of that, from the future of AGI and future of AI. Can you share a bit more about, the vision of, where we are today? I know you guys you have product market fit, which is amazing. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about, what folks are leveraging you guys for today. And then maybe, further down, we could talk about, a little bit more in the future. Like, what does that look like years down the line?
Yeah, for sure. And there's been a number of different use cases. I think there are a couple that I'm most excited about. I can go into a bit more detail. So I think for me, because travel has always been something that's excited me, and it's really cool seeing a lot of these travel companies using us, and starting from the smaller tour operators, and now we have pilots with a couple of the larger companies and a few companies in the pipeline as well. And they like our avatars because it's a way to build a personal connection for a tour operator to explain what their tours are all about, even before having that first meeting. So even before you meet the customer, they already establish some sort of baseline of trust. They already have that immediate conversation, have their questions answered. And some of the features that we're able to provide for the travel industry are also super useful. So the knowledge of 32 languages, that's a clear no-brainer how that helps out. And then a second one is the fact that the avatar can show you a picture. So rather than talking for hours and hours and hours, trying to describe a beautiful beach with palm trees, it can just show you a picture of a white sand beach, and it immediately becomes clear why you should go there. So that's the travel vertical, improving that customer journey, making travelers excited for that experience, for that destination. That has been one of the use cases that has been growing quite fast. And the second one is customer insights. I can go a bit more into that. It was a surprise for us, but it's another exciting direction we're going in.
I do want to, let's put a tack in customer insights, because I do want to hear more about that. But the travel is an interesting case because it just seems like a natural fit, like an opportunity to scale personalization almost in a way that you couldn't before. So interesting. So if I speak one language, someone else speaks another language, we can both go to the same site. We can both get the same exact experience, the same level of personalized service. And to your point, they can actually, the avatar, the confidant can then be nimble and provide pictures or based on whatever it is I'm asking. So I might ask something different from you. We would get personalized and variant experiences, but with this from the same company and at scale. So the travel section sounds travel sector sounds like it's a very clear use case where you guys can apply learnings and help scale right away. That's awesome. Love to hear more about consumer insights, that customer insights. Tell me more about how that, because it sounds like it's a surprise to you as well.
Yeah, the customer insights, because we were always thinking that it's going to be something that's a bit more of that external facing outbound tool that companies and businesses can use to connect with their customers. There is also a whole B2C direction, but let's focus on the B2B for now. So we were thinking it's an outbound tool, but here is an internal use case. And what we've learned is that Mutual of Omaha, one of the largest insurers in the US, their head of research for the past 15 years, she has been bringing a cardboard cutout of a customer to every exec meeting, to every strategy meeting, so that to remind her colleagues to actually think about the customer, think about the voice of the customer, and always have that in mind when making decisions. And I'm sure it was effective in its own way, but when that lady, when she saw an avatar, she was like, "This is exactly what I've been looking for, to give a voice to the cardboard cutout, to finally put a voice of the customer into the boardroom, into these discussions, so that decision makers can ask the customer, so tell me what you liked about launch, tell me what you didn't like about launch, what do you think about our new product?" And the customer, Bob, is right there to discuss with them and explain his perspective, explain why he loved it. You can segment it in different ways, promote a detractor, East Coast, West Coast, whatever segmentation you're using for your customers. You can put them in the room there with the decision makers and have their voice heard in any one of these strategic conversations.
Well, that's fascinating, because I've heard that and experienced it myself in some companies. I worked at NBC on the digital side, and we actually created personas, and we actually, to your point, we didn't have them in meetings, but we had like printouts of like, this is, I think one of them was named Matt, and this is, I can't remember the rest of their names, but there were different names for folks. They had like their likes and dislikes, and we kept them on our walls to try to keep an eye of like, what would they feel like? But to have a virtual presence in meetings that was like sitting there on the screen, like providing instant feedback or instant perspectives based on everything we knew, which is what we were doing already. We were already trying to guess what they would be thinking. We were already assigning, values and perspectives and opinions from their perspective, but we didn't have it in real time. And how convincing would that be? How much more of a factor would it play in those decisions if it was actually had a voice at the table versus like a piece of paper that couldn't say anything on the wall?
Exactly. And it's, a lot of these companies, they already have dozens of years on their customers. They do have that research. They know everything about their customers, but it's just not always being factored in these meetings. And it's also a very organic interface for it to fit into the meetings. It's a lot harder to imagine, the CEO saying, "Wait, give me a minute. Let me open the LLM and type this in, and let's ask the question," as opposed to just having a conversation, asking, "Hey, Bob, and give us your opinion. What do you think about that?" It's much more organic. It doesn't break the pace of the discussion.
I can see how that makes a difference in a business setting too. So, one of the common threads that we're seeing across, business right now in the AI world is, how can I leverage the data I already have in a new way? Are there ways for me to be even more, go even further with what I have versus trying to like start something new? I've been collecting data on my customers for 20 years. I have, the marketing team has a CRM, and inside that CRM, it has all these things. And that was never connected to, our conversations about, what Matt, the persona at IBC, would be thinking. But with Happyverse, there's an opportunity to pipe those data, create a data pipeline, take that data, incorporate it into this confidant, this avatar, and not only have a persona that you've created with your opinions, but also have real data of their experiences and their behaviors, and get a very nuanced perspective of your customer who's at the table with you, versus just kind of some ideas that you did with some basic research and maybe a couple surveys you've sent out to customers.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So curious to hear more about, that's where you guys are now. Where do you see it going? So like in an ideal world, Happyverse 2035, what is it? What does the world look like? What is you guys' vision for what's possible in the company right now?
Yeah, for sure. We see ourselves as a new way for humans to interact with AI and ultimately AGI. So what we see is that the future of Happyverse is going to be very tightly interwoven with the direction of AI and AGI. And that future can go in a number of different ways. Of course, wearables are already becoming a bigger factor as, for example, the Meta's Ray-Ban glasses, AI being there with you as you're moving, and you're able to ask questions and analyze things in real time. So we potentially see our product fitting into the next generation of wearables, the next generation of AR, various embodied technologies there moving, and we already are getting humanoid robots. We're already getting other various machines, whether for industry, for personal use. Again, a lot of these at the moment may not have that same level of personalization that they may require down the line. And so once they've achieved a level where they're useful, where they're ubiquitous, it may start making sense to give a character to an embodied machine, to give an opportunity for it to have an intelligent conversation. And again, that's something where Happyverse could end up playing a very large role. So as AI evolves for 2035, we see Happyverse evolving with this, because ultimately Happyverse is very human. Happyverse is very personal, and we see humans playing a role in the evolution of AI, that human component, that personal component playing a role in the evolution of AI, and therefore we see Happyverse playing a role in the evolution of AI.
That's really interesting, and I think embodied agents is robots. Is the old school robots, right? I love that. And this is off script. This is kind of, I mean, I'll follow the track because it's interesting. It's like, there's companies that are very good at certain things, and it's interesting because a lot of the robotics companies are trying to do both, and they're trying to do the actual physical movement of the robots and have them, move through space. And they're also, many of them are trying to figure out, the software that fits into the personality of that robot. And it definitely feels like there's a space for a company like a Happyverse to be kind of a partner with a hardware company, so that instead of, hey, we're going to try and do this all ourselves, like, well, you guys have been killing it with AI avatars across the board. We should, incorporate you into our embodied agents as kind of another layer of, a true partner, because it's, hardware and software. It's literally mind and body, like we're talking about these robots. So that's an interesting, I didn't put that together in our earlier conversation, but that definitely feels like a place where Happyverse could fit very well. And I don't think that would be 10 years. That could be a shorter timeline in the future, but that's awesome. Do you have any advice for folks who are looking to build an AI right now?
Advice for folks who are looking to build an AI, I think it's just everything is moving so quickly. It's such a moving target. So if you're building for something that is already active, that is already ubiquitous today, chances are by the time you've built it, you may have missed the target. So it's about thinking at least a few months, if not a year, 2 years ahead, and trying to think, okay, where is the evolution going? Where can I move so that I hit this target? And today avatars aren't ubiquitous. We're always thinking, okay, where are they going to be 6 months from now? Where are they going to be a year from now? How do we adjust to make sure that we hit the target, not just today, but also 6 months, a year, 18 months from now?
Yeah. And I think I've heard, and you're probably closer to it, I've read that moats, like technology moats, are now like counted in weeks and months. It used to be years, used to be decades, and it was years. And with the last 3 years, I've heard that it's been chopped down quite a bit to like, if you have an idea that's a little bit ahead of where we should be at, like there's probably going to be 100 or plus companies who are working on the same thing will probably do it at the same time as you. So to your point, if you really want to get into it, think of something that wouldn't happen if you weren't doing it, something that doesn't really exist yet, because by the time you build it, the world may have caught up to you, and you might be right place, right time, and you might not have missed the boat and spent all that time and money working on something that's now table stakes.
Exactly. But on the plus side, of course, it allows us and other exciting founders in the space to ship great products even faster. And that's the really cool flip side.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. It is, to your point earlier, it's like it's kind of there's kind of like trepidation, and it's kind of a like, where are we going to go with all this? What will happen? But at the same time, boy, is it an exciting time to work in tech. Things have never moved faster. The bar has never been lower for companies to start up and move quickly, and leapfrog technologies that some of the bigger players aren't there yet. And so that's why it's such an exciting time. I guess our series is called Turbocharge Tomorrow, and we do that for a reason. So it's about actionable insights. And so I guess, Val, if there's one technology thing that you think leaders should be doing today to prepare for tomorrow, and I guess we could start with we'll start with trust, and maybe we take another look at this from another angle. But to build trust in an AI world, what would you recommend to technology leaders who may be on the fence, like, I don't know if I want to have an AI avatar of myself? What would your recommendation or advice be for those folks?
Yeah, for sure. I think with with AI, there is a whole set of new tools that are enabling personalization, that are enabling that um, faster trust process. You're able to disclose more information. You're able to help the customer better. You're able to help the customer faster. And it's about understanding what tools are going to be relevant to your industry, what tools are going to be relevant to your customer for you to help build trust faster. Some people are going to find that it is helpful if a certain AI tool or even an avatar has all the background on a given customer. But in the medical industry, for example, I can imagine how it's maybe a bit unsettling if an avatar on the website says, "Oh yeah, you're coming to me with such and such problem," and you're like, "Huh?" Yeah, I think it's about thinking what is the right approach for your customer, and there is a universe of tools ranging from Happyverse Confidants, our avatars, to a whole set of other tools, whether text based, whether voice based, not quite embodied based yet, but a whole set of tools, and it's ultimately it all goes back to your customer. What is the right personalization tool? What is the right tool to gain trust from your customer? There is an ever increasing universe of them.
And if you to have like that uncle who just doesn't trust AI, like, do you have a piece of advice for folks out there who how to talk to? We got the holidays coming up, so is there advice you'd give to them for like, hey, here's where I'm seeing, here's why it's worth, you shouldn't be afraid of it. Here's why you should start trusting it.
For the uncle who doesn't trust AI, I'd say, it's ultimately it's an easier way for you to build that foundation of trust with a human. I don't see it as a replacement for human connection. I see it as a first step to human connection. So rather than having a conversation over the basics of the subject, you can immediately dive deep. You can dive into how do you make that tour really amazing for that specific person, and go a level above, because all the basic questions have already been answered. You can focus more on how do you make this person's experience great? How do you connect with this person on a more human level? I do think that it just what AI does, it replaces kind of that very basic level of that very initial, that very surface level of some of that human, or in a lot of textual, in a lot of cases textual interaction. But that leaves a lot more space. It leaves you a lot more time to focus on a lot more important interactions and leverage your superpowers as a human.
That's amazing, and that's what I'll have to tell Uncle Randy when I see him coming up. Our guest today again is Val Avdeenko. He's the president and co-founder of Happyverse. They have a conference coming up. AGI Summit is going to be November 15th. Well, thank you so much for your time, Val. This is terrific, and thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, Ethan. Can't wait to see the podcast once it's been recorded.
Excellent, buddy. All right. Well, thanks so much, Val.
Cheers.
Talk to you later. Cheers. Bye.